Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows?
It's rare to have a game that's so exceptional, so timely, so artfully crafted that it counts as a fundamental must-have, regardless of personal preference. In a year with so many amazing games released, it was stiff competition to say the least. While Unabridged Gamer is certainly a more retro-leaning channel, there are two games I feel absolutely confident in naming my Game of the Year for 2018. Yes, you heard that right, I have two Game of the Year picks, and we're getting into both of them right here, right now. Battlefield 5 is a remarkable achievement. It features some of the best single-player content in any first-person game I've experienced, on top of some of the most satisfying team-based multiplayer on the market, that makes leaps and bounds over the competition, presenting worthwhile content while trimming the fat. Everything clicks firmly into place, each element meshing into one of the most cohesive products on the market. In short, it's like if Battlefront 2015 had been done properly. A brief yet strong opening, concentrating on making sure the maps and modes on offer were worth diving into, rather than just throwing a glut of content out the window. There's a small rotation of maps and modes, with the best parts often melded together in the newly introduced Grand Operations multiplayer campaigns, taking place over several concurrent battles, culminating in a desperate last stand. The current slate of maps even offer evolved variants that enhance their already smooth flow with new tactical options. You've got a full server browser packed to the gills with filtering options that ensure you can find precisely what you want to play on the map you want to play it. Like it's 2004 all over again in the best way possible. Those who want it hassle-free can also use matchmaking, which is included in Battlefield 5's other great multiplayer ambition, seasonal content known as the Tides of War, that offers unique challenges as the new updates progress the in-game clock throughout the course of World War II. Speaking of progression, unlocks and customization are streamlined, ensuring you spend more time playing rather than figuring out how to get a new gun. All that would be for naught though if Battlefield 5 played poorly. Thankfully, it's probably one of the most intuitive shooters to date. You can go prone and aim all around organically like it's Resident Evil 6. There's crouched sprinting to dodge incoming fire while staying low behind cover. You can finally revive squad mates, if a bit slower, regardless of if you're a medic or not. And there's heavy incentive to work with a varied squad, as each class can provide bonuses and critical supplies like health and ammo to their fellows. The shooting rewards precision and awareness instead of quickscoping, with many guns also offering alternate firing modes and handling that ensure that you can pull off some amazing shots if used properly. Tanks and other vehicles handle like a dream, powerfully crushing the opposition and igniting into fantastic flames when you nail a killing blow on them. To be fair, planes kinda suck right now, but some players have flourished with them, so maybe I'm just missing something. Every visual element has a satisfying pop and sway to it, meshing with powerful sound design and a score that's pitch perfect dynamic to the current situation, conveying a serious sense of weight that makes every battle feel eventful. Most significant for all modes of play though, is that Battlefield 5 may be one of the best examples of proper highs and lows in a multiplayer game. There can sometimes be a solid minute of just preparing your defenses, and yes, you can build defenses now, some of which can turn the tide of a conflict, as well as supplying allies, or creeping through potentially hazardous territory all before a fight breaks out. It's so immensely satisfying despite being so quiet. There's a new undercurrent of tension that makes the coming conflict a relief and a rush. Teammates who coordinate, use the various squad commander abilities like V1 rockets and supply drops, and keep an eye on the lay of the land, can outflank the opposition beautifully, leading to sudden reversals and tense encounters that completely shift the flow of battle. I've seen near losses suddenly turn into victory because of just one squad holding the line for long enough to edge us into Grand Operations equivalent of double overtime. It's amazing, and even if you aren't the top dog of the match, you can feel a sense of accomplishment that only comes from a game where teamwork feels valid. In a year where Blizzard keeps making its Overwatch characters be all DPS focused and battle royales are everywhere, it's a relief to know that at least DICE remembered some of us want to work together. Even the upcoming free update with a battle royale mode for Battlefield 5 requires you be playing in a squad, emphasizing team play, even a mode known for struggling with that aspect. What's more, more, Battlefield 5 goes beyond offering a worthwhile multiplayer component thanks to its astoundingly replayable, polished single-player offerings. While the initial British campaign falls flat outside of a bombastic and surprisingly tower defense-like conclusion, every campaign onwards is superb and demands witnessing. From Nordalis' story within a story about a mother and daughter resistance pair in the midst of the, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing this, Tung Tavanska Nonen heavy water saboteur operations in Norway, to the heartbreakingly bittersweet war for recognition in Trillalu's last-ditch suicide charge to take a Nazi fort by any means necessary amid racial tensions with your own allies. All the way to somehow nailing a morbid campaign from the German perspective in World War II in The Last Tiger that strikes familiar notes of Halo Reach. This is spectacular work, supported by all the same great gameplay of the multiplayer, improved by additional mechanics. You'll brave hypothermia while weighing the risk of optional encounters with Nazi patrols. Hold the line against a seemingly unending wave of Sherman tanks. Order your men into a charge knowing that some will be cut down on the field around you by pure virtue of your own unimpeded ambition. You'll rig explosions in such a way that there's no eyewitnesses to your presence, leaving enemies scrambling in confusion. You'll creep through your now occupied territory as Allied soldiers rail declarations of justice as well as their bullets against you. Almost every mission has multiple routes and approaches to be taken, as well as a glut of bonus objectives that draw you back for more, with a special reward for your multiplayer customization at the end. There's secrets to be found, several playstyles supported, and remarkably well scripted encounters to navigate. Those frustrated by typical FPS stealth game AI that all become alerted to your presence when one spots you will be relieved at how much more genuine and intelligent the stealth is here. Hell, even if you just want a solid action experience, the quietest levels will permit the fastest trigger finger to be the victor. It just makes things a bit more challenging. All this, and there's more to come. While I'll hold final judgment on all post-launch content and whether it adds to the experience, not only is Battle Royale coming, but also Combined Arms, a mode made for 1 to 4 players that's auto-generated PvE content a la Warframe, ensuring that even after you've drained the campaigns of all potential challenges, there's still more on the horizon. It's not exactly bot mode, but it's a damn good potential offering. I frankly don't know what else to ask for, as this is far and away more than what most games offer, let alone without a season pass of any kind or any oppressive microtransactions. If this is the sort of game EA plans to put out in the future, then maybe they finally have themselves set straight after their most recent rough patch. One can only hope. As it stands, Battlefield 5 is perhaps one of the most intelligently designed, marvelously executed, fantastically scored, beautifully rendered, satisfying shooters to date, let alone of this year. Sure, it might not have cowboys, but Battlefield 5 accomplishes so much that I can't help but be excited for what comes next. A 10 out of 10.
A kite's incoming!
Overnight, my world has changed. The gnawing hunger inside me. Every night, it must be appeased. The thing I've become. A vampire. A thing to be hunted down like an evil beast. But as a doctor, I know there's worse to come.
Vampyr is one of the hardest games for me to write about because it's just so damn good and so intricately designed. I mean, how do you casually talk about a game that's equal parts Bloodborne, Yakuza, Sherlock Holmes, and Persona, a title with one of the best romantic arcs in years, let alone close to 40 or more compelling side stories to slowly unravel, with actual risk of failure to learn them all if you make the wrong dialogue choices? Hell, a game that encourages failure, that gives some real weight to your actions, where you're not just this perfect protagonist who can solve everything. In a world that genuinely evolves with new story beats unlocking depending on the choices you make, and never lets you fix anything perfectly. A combat system that demands you actually pay attention to not only its mechanics, but the weight of what staying the right path costs you. It's all so much to piece apart, which is why I'm going to continue doing a series of videos talking about all these different elements, having started with the Stargazer. Legitimately, if you just want a score and a review, it's one of the best damn games to date, and probably going to receive dozens of retrospective essays years from now about about how brilliant it was and how nobody recognized it. But you can be there to tell them that you did know and that you did play it, because hot damn, you need to play Vampyr. Really, what you need to know isn't whether or not it's good. Pretty much everyone I've seen who doesn't like it seems to have just misunderstood some of the systems, which is why I'm going to give you a very quick primer on the only things you really need to know to get the most out of it. Which is to say, don't buy the Blood Claws ability, it sucks. You'll want the Shadow Bomb or the Blood Spear. Understand that you can respec your character at any time, and that you can go into negative experience points when making choices that involve blood experience points. Also, embrace the fact that you can fail. It's one of the game's biggest strengths. You can play again. It's actually not that long by comparison to a lot of RPGs. Being incredibly indulgent with my time, it capped out about 40 hours. And any role-playing enthusiast will tell you that's actually really short. Oh, and apparently the frame rate is capped on consoles, which is why I'm surprised to say it's coming out on Nintendo Switch at some point, but hey, it's also coming out on Switch at some point. Go figure, right? And if you are concerned about the difficulty, there is a story mode where you can focus more on your choices and less on the weight of combat, and also a hardcore difficulty that allows you to just go all in on making hard choices. Seriously, I've got a link in the description to an hour-long discussion with Hidden Object Guru and another colleague of ours regarding Vampyr if you need a more traditional review. But keep an ear out. We're not done talking about Vampyr yet. But for now, Vampyr gets a 10 out of 10. Y'all have a happy holiday and a marvelous new year. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more of them, please be sure to like and subscribe, because that actually helps a lot. And if you didn't like it, then please feel free to give a thumbs down. Oh, and if you really like this video and would like to help ensure I can do more of these things, then please head down to the description and follow a link to my Patreon, where you get special goodies if you chip in and help make this channel a reality. I'm the Unabridged Gamer, signing off.